Thanks everybody so much for joining. Happy Friday to you. So this is Hightouch's Best of Breed series. And what this is all about, every Friday we speak with leaders from the modern data stack about tech, about data, and specifically about partnering and how partnerships can drive good results for our customers. So I'm Kevin. I work at Hightouch. I work on partnerships and go-to-market broadly. I'm super excited about our guest today. His name's Logan Welley. He's the VP of Strategic Alliances at Fivetran. Logan, why don't you kick us off with an intro on yourself here?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Kevin, super excited and of course appreciate the partnership with you all at Hightouch. I'm Logan Welley. I lead the alliances team here globally at Fivetran. I have been with Fivetran for just over 5 years, so I've had a chance to see the modern data stack evolve over the past couple of years, and partners that make up the modern data stack are incredibly important to us here at Fivetran.
Yeah, evolution of the modern data stack. I kind of want that to be the theme of our conversation today, or at least one of the themes. Because of your background, you've seen it, you've had an interesting journey. So I'd love to start at the beginning. So I understand that you started out as an early AE at Fivetran and moved into partnerships over time, which implies that you saw an opportunity there. Take us back to the beginning. How'd that all begin and how'd you get here?
Yeah, so it's an interesting story. I actually grew up with our co-founder, Taylor Brown. I've known Taylor since I was 12 years old, and my background was in partnerships. And when he was building Fivetran, he would come to me and ask, like, how do you build a partnership? What's a referral? What's a reseller? And so I was outside looking in and watching him develop Fivetran. And when he actually had to go to market, he had product market fit. They were actually building, having some customers. He was looking for sales reps. And so I went up to him and I said, hey, I want to come work at Fivetran. Hire me as a rep. Best way to hire a buddy is give me a quota. If you have to fire me, there's a reason. But if I do it, I'm going to do it on the backs of partners. I'm going to show you that we can win with partners. And so I sold Fivetran for a year. I was our second sales rep. I joined when we were about 15 employees. And I tell that story a lot when we're recruiting, actually, because we were uniquely able to build partnerships and partner selling into the sales DNA at Fivetran. And that is true with us today. We've been able to grow the partner organization to just over 35 people globally. And we're really focused on our core tech partners and system integration partners. But our foundation is still the same. We are selling with the products that are in the modern data stack and creating the best customer experiences possible to be able to empower them to leverage data at their full capacity. And we do that on a deal by deal basis with our partners. And we attach partners to every single deal that we possibly can. And that all started from our early days of how we first got our first customers when I was a rep to how we still get customers today. And we sell with partners on every single deal that we possibly can.
I love it, man. You're preaching to the choir. I love partnerships. I work in partnerships. I'm a little bit later to the game than you, though. So when you mentioned, you saw this opportunity with partnerships before you even joined. So from the outside looking in, what gave you the conviction that partnerships was a valuable lever for Fivetran?
Yeah. You can't buy Fivetran by itself. We literally don't work. You can't just buy Fivetran and just it works. We have to have a data source. And we have to have a destination to load that data into. And so that was the first thing. Like, we can't sell it by itself. Customers can't buy it by itself. We should never sell it by itself. We should never market it by itself. And so we don't today. And then the second thing was our first couple deals came from partners. This is before I even started. When Taylor was selling Fivetran, Looker brought us into our first deal because they had a customer that needed Salesforce data. And so those were like the early signals to me that said, hey, I can bet on my ability to leverage partners as a rep and use that success to build a partner program. And here we are, 1,000 employees, several thousand customers, and a partner first strategy. And it worked.
I love it, man. Totally makes sense. So I assume you are a very successful AE. You got promoted into this partnerships role over time. Now, for context for those listening, this isn't super important, but Hightouch and Fivetran are similar in that we both rely on partnerships. We're just basically mirrors of each other technically. So working on partnerships here, one of the things that happens as we're earlier stage, we're still building out our partner function, is there those moments where you kind of feel like you hit an inflection point with partners and you get wins. Can you think of any moment early on where you had a win or you hit some traction, or whether it was a specific deal or whether it was a conversation with somebody where you really thought like, hey, this is actually going to work. This is a great motion for us?
100%. It was the last deal that I sold as a rep, and I'm happy to talk about it because they're a referenceable customer. It was at Square. It was our biggest deal of the year. It was the biggest deal to date. It was Looker, Fivetran, Snowflake. And that was the modern data stack 5 years ago. That's like, we told the story of ETL tool into a warehouse and a BI tool. Like, that was the modern data stack. And I co-sold that deal with Snowflake, co-sold that deal with Looker, and Square ended up purchasing all three technologies within the same quarter, right? They implemented their modern data stack. And like, that was an aha moment for Fivetran. At that point, we'd grown from 1 to 2 reps to about 5 reps. And we built this sales motion. We built this motion that we recognized that companies are buying these technologies together. Let's collaborate and come together and create the best customer experience possible when that customer is purchasing this modern data stack. And, one of the things that I want to allude to is, like, again, that was more than 5 years ago. The evolution of the modern data stack that was ETL tool into data warehouse into BI tool has now expanded with the likes of tools like Hightouch, because there's data governance, there's data observability, there's reverse ETL. The way in which customers are leveraging data goes well beyond just observing that data in a business intelligence tool and analyzing it. The modern data stack has continued to evolve, and it's about collaborating and integrating the best in breed technologies so that customers can make more impactful decisions with their data.
Love it. That Square story, that's like any partner marketer's dream. Any partner marketer is like, man, what a dream case study. I was actually going to get into what you just said. So the evolution. So I think the stack that you were talking about with Square, I think a lot of companies would still consider that like a pretty darn modern data stack.
Yeah.
You mentioned how it's changed over time. What were some of the most valuable partnerships when you joined? And you don't need to name specific companies, but like just categorically, and then how that's changed over time up to today.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Even we didn't even talk about this in the previous weeks, but we explored any partnership to start at Fivetran, right? I even at a point tried building partnerships with our data sources, and we found that because those technologies weren't being bought together, we couldn't build our traditional go-to-market motion, which is a heavy co-sell motion. And so really it was BI tools and data warehouses that we partnered with early on. And we've actually pivoted that a little bit in the sense the past couple of years, we've focused primarily on the destinations, and we focus on obviously the big 5 for us. It's AWS, GCP, it's Azure, it's Snowflake, and it's Databricks. It's where we directly integrate into. It's where we load data into. And so we've found those partnerships to be the main hub of our go-to-market motion. And from there, why we love Hightouch, right, is we don't have to integrate with you all. It's built around this concept of centralize your data into a central repository and central cloud data warehouse, or a data cloud, or a data lake, whatever you want to call it, or a lake house. But get it there. Fivetran is going to be the best in breed in getting data into that destination. Then you can use any tool within the modern data stack to empower that data even further. And that's where, again, customers are trying to get that data back into their apps to power their business processes. That's where Hightouch comes in.
Yeah. And I can tell you from the other side of this, the way that we think about Fivetran is a prerequisite for a lot of the things that happen in the modern data stack. Like, you talk to any company, they might have a warehouse, but if they have a warehouse and they can't, reliably get data in, there's not a ton you can do. So it's interesting to hear you talk about kind of the other side of that from our perspective.
Yeah, honestly, that was not one thing that I realized when I consider myself one of the luckiest SOBs ever to be in the seat that I'm in. And one of the things that I was incredibly lucky on, which was the fact of what you just hit on, which is all these tools need data. And you look at these reference architectures, and the upper left-hand corner is how that customer is wrangling data. It powers everything else in the modern data stack. And so Fivetran's uniquely positioned to say we are the lifeblood. We are the electricity that powers everything that the modern data stack runs on. So that was just a happenstance that we just happened to be in the right place at the right time for one of the biggest movements in Silicon Valley in this movement for data.
Yeah, that's great. And you're selling yourself short a little bit. I think it was part luck, part part you. So you obviously have a lot of passion for this, and you mentioned earlier, using some of these stories and these wins in your perspective to build out a team and recruit folks. Shifting gears a bit, would you mind just kind of pulling back the curtain a bit and telling us about your team, the organization, and some of the folks over there that are working on partnerships?
Yeah. So I'll first just start by mentioning that one of the reasons that Fivetran is so successful is because we were super focused on delivering on one key thing: automated data migration in a fully managed service. And we could have built on all this functionality and become a Frankenstein product. We didn't. We just said we want to make sure that data is delivered reliably for our customers in a fully managed solution. And so we've had a similar approach for the partner team. We're very, very focused, and we're focused on the destination partners first and foremost, as I alluded to. So the team today, we go all in on those destination partners. The alliances team is structured to be the tip of the spear for product, for marketing, and for sales. We look at it as a kind of a Venn diagram, and the partner team sits in the middle on how we go to market with the 5 destinations that I mentioned at the top of the call. Those that and so I have partner managers that go after and work with those partners, but then I also have field alliances. We have field alliances in North America, EMEA, and APAC, and those partner field alliance managers, they are there to make sure that our lifeblood is keeping the partnership going, which is, are we winning deals with those destination partners? And are we ensuring that we're providing value to the customer at the deal level and the partner? We're earning their trust and we're bringing value to them, and they want to work with Fivetran, going forward because of the value that we brought them. That strategy has really dictated how we go to market with the system integration partners. So we only work with SI partners that are working with the Snowflakes, the Databricks, and the GCPs of the world, in Azure and AWS. And if those SI partners are implementing data warehousing projects and data projects that are centered around those destinations, Fivetran is going to be a fantastic fit for them. And we're going to accelerate the amount of work that they can do, and the services that they can build around that data warehousing project or that cloud migration project.
Yeah, I really appreciate the level of focus it seems like you have on the value add partners for your customers. When you think about some of those value add partners, those ones that you really focus on, how do you define success for your team? What does a successful partnership look like? What are some of the attributes?
Yeah. So we've transitioned that a lot. We have a notion here: what's worked in the past doesn't necessarily work in the future. And, as we've scaled as a business, we looked at those partners and said, hey, how much business can we get from them? And so early days, Fivetran partnership team was really built on sourced business. How much business are we sourcing from those technology partners and from those SI partners? Our SI partners today are still on that model. We ask our partners to register deals to us when they feel like Fivetran could be a fit. We engage, we help them deliver on that implementation. For our technology partners, we actually just changed to a new model where we track the destination partners and partners like Hightouch in the ecosystem on. Destination partners are measured on quarter-over-quarter customer growth, so mutual customer growth. Are we winning and getting new accounts? And then the secondarily is, what's the revenue per destination? How much volume of Fivetran data is loading into that destination? And how do we grow that from X to Y to Z quarter over quarter? And we can do that by any means necessary. It's fantastic product integration, like what we have with Partner Connect with our destination partners, amazing co-selling experiences, and working with the field reps, creating good and fantastic marketing and co-marketing and partner marketing efforts, create funnel for the destinations, and it will result in wins, and it will result in revenue per destination. With ecosystem partners like you all, we look at that mostly on stickiness and adoption of the modern data stack, which will result in NRR for us, but most importantly, stickiness with our product. And those are generally measured on quarter-over-quarter mutual customer growth.
Yeah, I'm kind of resisting the urge to take notes here so I can stay focused on the conversation, because we're an earlier, like I mentioned, we're an earlier stage partner org. These are a lot of the decisions that we're making, and I think that's a great framework for measurement. So aside from the numerical stuff, which is what I was asking about and super helpful, what are some of like the, maybe the less measurable wins that you see from partnerships? I know you mentioned a specific story with the Trevor Project, if you want to get into that, but I know there's also potentially other, less tangible, less measurable, potentially longer term wins that you're after. Maybe tell us about some of those if you can.
Yeah. Our mission for Fivetran in general is to make data as easily accessible as electricity, right, and reliable as electricity. And when we look at the go-to-market team, our mission is to empower organizations on Earth to leverage data to fulfill their purpose, right? And every company on Earth has a purpose. Ours is, which I alluded to, which is make data access as easy and reliable as electricity. And I want to talk about a customer, the Trevor Project, who their purpose is to reduce teen suicide. And they actually leverage Fivetran to provide the data for their team to make them more impactful, to literally save teenage lives. And that's what Fivetran ultimately wants to do. Like, we want to make the impact that companies have on planet Earth by leveraging data to make them better at fulfilling their purpose. And that's ultimately what our sales reps wake up and are empowered to do. And I know it sounds a little cheesy and like solving world hunger, but we truly do believe that when companies and organizations leverage data in the modern data stack, they can be more impactful. And it's such an amazing, stories like the Trevor Project that we can really get behind, ensuring that we're empowering companies to fulfill their purpose. And when they have a powerful purpose like that, it gives you literal goosebumps to know that you're helping them.
Yeah, I don't think it's cheesy at all. I think in our world, it's easy and tempting to get tied up in the technical side. How is this actually going to work? What story are we going to tell the market? The financial side of it. When you realize like the true power of data and the way that the variety of things that our customers do, whether it's something that is just incredible, like the Trevor Project, or other mission-driven organizations, if we can give them the tools to run their organization better, like what's better than that? That's the really inspiring stuff that gets me excited about working in this space.
Definitely.
Cool. So Logan, to shift gears a bit here, we've talked about our partnership a bit. Could you just maybe lay out for the folks listening just how you think about the partnership with Hightouch?
Yeah, one of the things that I alluded to at the top of the call that we love most with you all is we don't have to integrate to work together, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we all center around getting data. We get the data into the destination. You help customers leverage that data and operationalize it, right? And that in itself is the modern data stack. That's the vision of the modern data stack and how the modern data stack should work. It's funny, we both have ETL in our name, right? Whether you want to call it ETL or ELT, but we're kind of the front end ETL and you're reverse ETL. And so some people might be like, oh, these guys might be competitors. We're not. And the reality is we provide the parts of the modern data stack that companies, we fill different parts of the gaps of the modern data stack. And it's all hinged around one central place, the data warehouse, the modern destination. And so, that's what gets me most excited. It's evolved, as I mentioned from the top of the call, where it's like we looked at BI tools as the first step from once you get data loaded. Now we've evolved the modern data stack and all the tools that are leveraged inside of it. And so what Hightouch provides for Fivetran at its most simplest form is solution completeness, right? Customers are looking for something. We, by partnering with Hightouch, can provide them solution completeness for what they're looking to solve in their modern data stack problems.
Yeah. It's funny to think about the complete evolution, because I think back, and I haven't been around that long, but in the early part of my career, a lot of what you would hear about was, an all-in-one platform.
Mm-hmm.
Companies would buy software. I'm not going to mention any names that attempts to do everything. And it was, buy this solution and we're going to do the entire stack. And we've seen that over time get broken down into companies who specialize in, to use the name of this, best of breed solutions. And the challenges that partner teams like us solve is, how do we make that feel seamless for the buyer? How do we make it feel like they're not buying disparate solutions? And I think we're at a very interesting point of it right now as it relates to the modern data stack, where these teams who are on the cutting edge of data and technology, and they're doing all this cool stuff, they're really creative, more creative than I could ever be at putting these solutions together. And you see that with some of the tools we mentioned, how you can build this data stack like Square did and like the Trevor Project is. Yeah, Fivetran bringing the data into the warehouse. You have tools like Monte Carlo and Hightouch in the ecosystem doing cool things with that data. So I'll give you an opportunity here. We're almost at the top of the hour. If you want to kind of extrapolate that out, in 5 years, is there anything? Are there any predictions you want to make? And I'll give you a license to be a little bit ambitious here, because if you're wrong, no one will ever know probably. And if you're right, we'll just bring this recording back and you can show up.
Yeah, I think from our research and our product team, we know we're like at the tip of the iceberg, literally, and how much data democratization has infiltrated particularly large enterprises. And Fivetran started early adopters with tech startups. Like, they were the ones that were willing to test out the modern data stack. They were the ones that were willing to see the integrations between these best in breed tools as opposed to these all-in-one tools. And throughout our existences, we've grown to take down and work with more enterprise organizations, Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 organizations. We're just beginning to scratch the surface on their movement towards the modern data stack. And I think the challenges that are going to surface at the enterprise will pressure test the modern data stack in the way that it works today, because we're going to see challenges at the Fortune 50 that we haven't even begun to evaluate, and we have no idea how we're going to solve them. And they're going to be hinged around security. They're going to be hinged around data accessibility. They're going to be hinged around this notion that we have at Fivetran of a citizen data integrator, that we want an organization to say, we're going to fully democratize data. We realize that data is not only leveraged at the C-suite, data is leveraged by every single person in what they do in their job, whether you're an intern or a CEO. And I think that'll be the biggest evolution for us over the next 3 to 5 years, is how can the modern data stack and the tools within the modern data stack navigate the challenges of large enterprise organizations from a security perspective, first and foremost, but at the same time, give the employees what they need, the average employee what they need in access to data to make decisions so that they can be more effective in their job. And so I don't know if I have necessarily a prediction there, a bold prediction, other than the fact that I think we're right at this precipice over the next year or two, where we're going to see particularly enterprise organizations and large organizations adopt the modern data stack and pressure test how we truly come together within the modern data stack community to make that happen. And we talked about potentially having some plugs at the end of this. we have Snowflake Summit coming up this month. We have Data and AI Summit coming up this month, hosted by Databricks. Fivetran is hosting our Modern Data Stack conference in September. Those conferences, I think, are going to be the area where the thought leadership around modern data stack and the involvement of the modern data stack are going to happen. And so those shows and those conferences are going to be incredibly exciting to attend and see how this community evolves to meet the needs of the growing desire for more data.
Yeah, that's great. And I think the point specifically about those unknown things we're going to run into as modern data stack companies, as we get adopted in the enterprise more and more, as we get adopted in different geographies, there's going to be things we run into that we just haven't even had to solve yet. And I think that's part of what makes working where we work such an exciting thing. And yeah, thanks for plugging those events. That was actually the last place we were going to go here. I think that's the perfect place to wrap this. Logan, is there anything else you want to share with the audience here?
No, I appreciate it. And of course, Kevin, thanks for including me. And this is a ton of fun, man. I love the partnership, and I love the fact that we, at Fivetran and Hightouch, we're all around, all about empowering the modern data stack, and anything that we can do to make organizations more powerful and fulfilling their purpose, we should be all for it.
Boom. Well, Logan, that's great, man. Thanks so much for joining us. It was great talking with you. Everyone else, thanks so much for listening in, and have a great weekend.
Thanks, y'all. Take care.
Bye-bye.